so for part 2 of our Trig regression model project, we are going to want to first enter our data into the calculator. Okay. I am not going to go through those steps at this point. You should be able to do that. The one thing I will remind you of, make sure that for years, your starting year is 0. Okay. So you don't ever want to put an actual year as your first value. For instance, in my table where I was doing heroin-related deaths in the state of Maryland, 2007 was the starting year. So 2007 was 0 in my table. 2008 was 1 in my table. Okay. 2009 would have been 2, etc. Okay, so make sure when you enter your data into the calculator, you do that correctly. All right, the next thing that I'm going to do is once I've entered my data into the calculator, I'm going to calculate my regression models. And I have 3 regression models. I'm going to have linear. I'll write that equation. And I'm going to want to go ahead and it also asks for me to say what the r squared value is. So I'm going to do my linear equation and its r squared value. Then I'm going to do my exponential. And its r squared value. And I'm going to do my quadratic. And its r squared value. Again, right now I'm taking notes. This is not my final product. This is the notes that I need in order to calculate them. So, in order to do the final project, I have to take these notes. So I've entered my data in the calculator, I've found all my regression models and my r squared values. The third part of this video, after you've entered your data, found your regression models, the third thing you're going to want to do is make your, and I'm going to call it your giant table. Okay? Make your giant table. What's your giant table going to be? Well, the first column should be your x values, which should be your independent. You're going to want to label that. And years for mine, it'll be years since 2007. That's going to be the very first column of my giant table. Then my dependent is going to be deaths in Maryland due to heroin. And that's my next part of my table. Sorry, I couldn't make that real nice and even there. And then my next 3 columns in my table, sorry, I don't really like the way that looks. I want it all to be even. Rewrite that. I know it's just notes, but I still want it to not be confusing. Since 2007, okay. Independent years since 2007, dependent deaths in Maryland due to heroin. Then here is going to be my linear equation, or my linear predictions, my exponential predictions, and my quadratic predictions. All right. And Again, I'm going to do all this in the calculator. We've gone over how to do all this. This is part of that product grade, you knowing how to do each of these parts. That's why I'm not going to fill that in for you. And you'll make that giant table. That is what you need to do for part 2 of your Trig regression model project. Enter your data into the calculator, find your 3 models and their R-squared values, and then make your giant table.